How's it going, everybody? ChaoticMeatball here, and welcome back to the channel. So today, we're going to do our 7th of 15 types for the Blue Kaizo Elite Four Challenge, that being the Electric type. We've been able to accomplish 6 of the 7 attempted types so far. Go back and watch the prior ones if you want to see which one was literally impossible, link in the description of the playlist. But today, I think we're going to have a good ride through this challenge. There's a perfect amount of electric types in Generation 1, with 5 pure electric types in Raichu, Magneton, since steel types don't get introduced until Generation 2, Electrode, Electabuzz, and Jolteon, and 1 partial electric type in Zapdos. Sadly though, you can't get Zapdos until Cerulean Cave in the post-game, so I'll be leaving it behind. This leaves me with 5 Pokemon though, so I need to select a pre-evolved Pokemon for the team. Before looking at movesets though, I can tell already that it's going to be Voltorb, specifically for Explosion. So now that we know our 6 Pokemon we'll be using, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Seriously, go down here and hit that button. Why are 40% of you unsubscribed? This channel can literally get to 100,000 in the span of a few months if we just band together to make the red button turn gray. Anyway, enough of my shameless plugs, let's jump immediately into movesets. Starting off with Voltorb, I'll be going with Explosion, Self-Destruct, Thunderbolt, and Thunder Wave. I'm always going to be going with Explosion over Self-Destruct for the additional power, Thunderbolt for an attack that could potentially be usable if Voltorb can, survive a single attack from anything, but because everything's 15 levels above us, I really don't see that happening, and Thunder Wave as a filler move since, as we all know, the Elite Four in Blue Kaizo has infinite full heals, and because of that, only Confusion ends up being the status that works for this sort of run. Second up is Electrode with a similar moveset of Explosion, Thunderbolt, Thunder, and Hyper Beam. Double stab with both Thunder and Thunderbolt might be a bit weird, but I decided that using the TM here for Thunder would be the most useful, as everything else doesn't really need it, and Raichu learns it naturally, so why not? Third up, we've got Magneton with the moveset Thunderbolt, Double-Edge, Hyper Beam, and Thunder Wave. Thunderbolt and Double-Edge throw out a ton of damage, while Hyper Beam is the finisher, and Thunder Wave is the filler move, since I'd be stupid to put Sonic Boom on this or any other Pokemon for this team, because it only does 20 damage. Moving on. Also, I would like to include Double Team since Magneton gets it naturally in this game, but sadly, the only way to get a Magneton with Double Team is by catching one in the Cerulean Cave. So, since we're in the same boat as Zapdos with that, I can't really use it. Fourth up is Raichu with the moveset of Thunder, Thunderbolt, Quick Attack, and Hyper Beam. Sadly, again, Raichu can naturally get Surf, but that's only when you catch it in Cerulean Cave, so as good a coverage move as it is, I'm not allowed to have it, even though the HM exists. It's kind of stupid, but this is Blue Kaizo, where giving you as little happiness as possible is the only goal of existence. Fifth up is Jolteon with the moveset of Body Slam, Sand Attack, Thunderbolt, and Hyper Beam. Thankfully, Sand Attack is a natural move on Jolteon, and it's available on Route 23 rather than in Cerulean Cave, so Sand Attack is fair game. And, by the way, Body Slam, damage plus potential paralysis, can indeed stun turns on our opponent, so there's no reason not to have it here instead of a filler move like Thunder Wave. Also, getting back to Sand Attack, despite it only having 15 power points, it's going to give us a lot of insurance of survival against many of the tougher Pokemon in the league, like Lance's Aerodactyl, Blue's Tauros, Professor Oak's Charizard, and Blastoise, as all of these Pokemon have Earthquake, and they're very powerful physical attackers that are going to be able to rip through my team, if not for my extremely high speed average, because, of course, electric types. And our last Pokemon, Electabuzz, with the moveset of Psychic, Thunderbolt, Ice Punch, and Thunder Wave. I was tempted to use the Thunder TM on Electabuzz, but I think that Electrode, with its infinitely better speed, will be able to nail that much more often on Pokemon that are fast and have ground moves, since again, Lance's Aerodactyl and Blue's Tauros will be the most threatening Pokemon in this entire run, and I know 100% that it's going to be a problem. It's also our coverage user here, since Psychic is able to hit things like Lorelei's Nidoqueen for super effective damage, and by the way, Ice Punch, quad effective on Lance's Dragonite, and that thing is one of the scariest Pokemon in this league, so I'm expecting it to put in a lot of work. With all that said though, it's time to run through these battles. Can I do it? Well, hopefully, since after the Ghost type run, I'm kind of salty and I need a victory. So this challenge actually isn't terribly difficult. I just had to learn how to use this team effectively and efficiently, and that mostly, of course, took place during the fights against both Lorelei and Professor Oak. My first thought was to start against Lorelei with Electrode, since she starts with Cloyster, as it's my fastest mon, and I thought that Thunderbolt would one-shot. Sadly though, it barely survives and fires off an explosion. So I assess again the special stat of my other Pokemon, and since Jolteon has both insanely good special and speed at this point, I decided to go with him on the next attempt. This does work, as Thunderbolt is able to one-shot Cloyster, but that just means that Jolteon is going to get fed to Nidoqueen, as it does after landing a single Body Slam. There goes my Sand Attacker, but I just went over into Voltorb in an attempt to KO with Explosion, and yeah, Voltorb's not going to be useful, that barely did anything. I figured that Electabuzz would be able to follow up with a KO thanks to Psychic, but nope, Nidoqueen runs through him just as well, so I need another new plan. Third time around, I decided to use Hyper Beam with Jolteon rather than Body Slam for the additional damage, so that when I fired off with Explosion with Voltorb, Nidoqueen would be in range of a Psychic KO. Fortunately, Voltorb ends up getting a critical with Explosion, so that gives me the opportunity to figure out where to pivot for my next member rather than just immediately going into Electabuzz. However, I do decide to still go into Electabuzz, since I don't think it will be doing too much else throughout this entire battle. Psychic picks up the KO as Vaporeon comes out as the follow-up. Thunderbolt's pretty good and is able to two-shot thanks to a critical matched with a missed Hydro Pump coming from Vaporeon, so that helps out quite a bit for the next Pokemon, Jinx. I decided to meme around using a few Thunder Waves so I could think about how I wanted to sequence the next few moves in Pokemon, so I just decided to go for a Thunderbolt, taking a Lovely Kiss of course, because, well, Jinx is an asshole and puts down every Pokemon after landing a single Lovely Kiss within a few turns, leaving us at a 3-3 tie. I sack Electrode with an Explosion since I don't feel like dealing with Jinx, leaving us 2-2. Lapras is an easy two-shot with Magneton after taking a Blizzard, but it's outsped by Articuno, going down to another Blizzard and leaving me with just Raichu. And I would have won here, if it weren't for missing Thunder, as 2 would put him down, but of course, I'm unlucky. Well, at least I know that I can do this without any problems, I just need a little bit more luck when it comes to the accuracy. The next attempt goes pretty similarly, just with Electabuzz and Magneton swapping places, since I figured it would be a little bit easier to put up more of a fight against Articuno. But turns out I was wrong, and again, a missed Thunder decides it in the favor of Lorelei. The winning attempt actually went pretty well though, as the first major difference was that Jolteon ended up getting a few paralysis activations on Nidoqueen thanks to Body Slam, putting it in range of Electabuzz's Psychic after using a Hyper Beam, meaning I could bypass the need of Voltorb entirely for this part of the fight. Vaporeon still goes down to 2 Thunderbolts, even though it does land Hydro Pump this time on Electabuzz, leaving just one more Thunderbolt to take it out before Jinx comes out. I figured now would be the best time to fire off Voltorb though, so that was the right play as Explosion barely misses the KO, but that's fine since I'm able to send in Raichu for the KO with Hyper Beam, leaving me at a 3-2 advantage. Lapras is an easy two-shot with Thunderbolt and Thunder, so I don't have to worry about whiffing 2 Thunders on Articuno, since a critical Thunderbolt is able to take it down to red HP before Articuno responds with Blizzard for a KO, leaving just Electrode to come in and land one final Thunderbolt for that 1-0 victory. I can't say that I used the team at the most optimal at this point in the game, since Sand Attack wasn't used at all, but I assure you that will be changing up very shortly. So Professor Oak is a bit of a challenge here, no pun intended, since 3 of his Pokemon have Earthquake, so I'm definitely in trouble. I immediately pinpointed that Jolteon is just the starting Pokemon throughout this entire league though, as here it's able to easily two-shot Raichu with Body Slam and Hyper Beam, even getting a critical Paralysis Body Slam to take it down with 0 damage taken itself, but that doesn't matter in the face of a Machamp with Earthquake. That thing rips Jolteon to shreds after taking a Thunderbolt, one-shotting from full and leading me to go out into Electabuzz. I figured Psychic would do the trick, which it does, but that means I'm stuck with dealing with Chansey. This is the Pokemon I figured out that I need Sand Attack for, but because Jolteon's already down and out, it's able to outgrind and rip through my entire team thanks to interchanging between Ice Beam and Soft Boiled, because of the fact that Gen 1 AI has infinite power points, so you cannot power point stall them, and That right there kind of made me mad because Chansey is a choke Pokemon. It's literally just a wall to exist. And because of that, I was just like, alright, screw it, we're gonna use the sand attack method. Unfortunately, my very next attempt ends up being just what I needed for a huge victory. Oak once again leads with Raichu, so I go for Jolteon once again, going for Body Slam as another critical paralysis goes off, letting me finish it off with a Hyper Beam and leading to Machamp. And here's where I start to deviate from the initial strategy, and just go all in with Sand Attack, preventing Earthquake from hitting at all by using 4 of them in a row, pivoting over to Thunderbolt for the 3-shot KO and leaving me up 6-4 with no damage on my side of the field, as I go into the wall that is Chansey. Now here's where I'm able to spam Sand Attack once again, keeping Chansey at bay while it wastes time with Soft Boiled at full HP. Not sure why it wouldn't just go for Ice Beam, but again, Gen 1 AI is extremely wonky. Of course, I can't stop it from using Soft Boiled once I start damaging it, so I'm gonna have to eventually get lucky and get either a streak of misses from Chansey, while getting him to not use Soft Boiled whatsoever. This takes about a minute and a half of just whacking him with Body Slams over and over again, to the point where I ran out of power points for Body Slam and had to transition to Hyper Beam, finally taking this monster out since it doesn't belong in this world, moving on to the 3 Kanto starters. Fortunately, I'm still up 6-3 with full HP, and I didn't waste Thunderbolt on Chansey, so I'm able to smash one into Charizard, taking him down to red HP as he lands an Earthquake, which doesn't take down Jolteon, so a second Thunderbolt is allowing me to take the advantage up to a whopping 6 Pokemon to 2 before Venusaur comes out. I figured Hyper Beam would be the best move here since Jolteon's really already served its purpose, so I just went for it, doing around a third as Venusaur takes out Jolteon with a Razor Leaf. Congratulations, buddy! You finally took down a single one of my Pokemon. Too bad that won't be happening again. I follow up with an Electabuzz, going for Psychic and getting a critical. Barely not KOing Venusaur, but he misses with Sleep Powder, so it doesn't matter, so I'm able to just go for another Psychic, leaving just Blastoise, an easy thing to take down with my Mono-Electric type team. I went for Thunderbolt with Electabuzz, somehow missing the one-shot as he KOs with, you guessed it, Earthquake. I guess I counted my eggs before they hatched, but that's fine, as Electrode is able to follow up, get the revenge KO with Thunderbolt, and win me the fight with a 4-0 victory. A pretty big one if I do say so myself. After healing, it's time for Agatha, and she's quickly becoming the easiest member of the league for me. I don't usually have a problem with her no matter the type, so of course I actually picked up the victory on my first try. Hypno's up first as I once again lead with Jolteon, going for Body Slam for Paralysis, but I don't get it on the first turn. But Hypno misses Hypnosis, so there's no reason to worry, as the second Body Slam does get the Paralysis trigger that I wanted, so I went for Hyper Beam, finishing it off with a critical hit and leading to Exeggutor. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go for Body Slam or Sand Attack here, but I decided to go for the Body Slam strategy, getting it down around half of its HP before getting paralyzed myself with Stun Spore, following up once again with a critical Hyper Beam to put me up at a 6-4 advantage. It is crazy how many critical hits that I'm hitting because of just how fast my team is. It is pretty useful here. Tentacruel's out third and shockingly isn't too much of a problem despite having Wrap. He locks me in once after missing the first time and letting Jolteon get in with Thunderbolt, but goes for Surf after letting go, going down to a second Thunderbolt and putting me up 6-3. It's time I start losing Pokemon though, since Jinx is once again here to be an asshole, KOing Jolteon and making me go for Raichu. Thunder does around 70% damage as the asshole lands Lovely Kiss, stomping a mud hole into Raichu and KOing it just as well, leaving me with a much lower advantage of 4 Pokemon to 3. Electrode's at least able to come in and pick up the KO from this range with a Thunderbolt, leaving just Agatha's Gengar and Alakazam. She goes with the former, for some reason decides that Nightshade is her best option, which isn't even able to 2-shot Electrode, so I'm able to KO with 3 Thunderbolts, as Electrode actually outspeeds, landing a single critical out of the 3 to make that KO happen, leaving just slightly enough HP to fire off an explosion on Alakazam, winning the battle with a 2-0 victory. Even if Alakazam outsped Electrode though, which definitely shouldn't happen since Electrode is literally one of the fastest Pokemon in Generation 1, Voltorb and Magneton would have probably been plenty enough to KO, especially since Voltorb also has Explosion, so there was no reason to lose here. Also, I'm quickly realizing in this challenge that Magneton is literally less than useless. The guy's literally hot dog water, and what are you supposed to do with hot dog water? With all that being said, it's time for the final member of the league, and that's Lance. He's quite dangerous, and again, a bunch of Pokemon with Earthquake, those being Kangaskhan, Snorlax, and Aerodactyl. They're all relatively threatening, as the first two are very bulky and can stand up to the entirety of my team, and Aerodactyl is extremely fast, though that might be easier for me to take on, thanks to the likes of Jolteon and Electrode. Anyway, he leads with Kangaskhan, so I go for my trusty Jolteon, spamming the heck out of Sand Attack and getting lucky enough to the point where Jolteon's able to land 2 Thunderbolts for the KO without taking a single point of damage from Earthquake. Lapras is out second, and I need to know if Thunderbolt is going to KO, which... yeah, that was pretty expected. Not sure if I needed the critical, but I don't even care. It's gone, leading to Electabuzz. It's a bit of a grind game here, actually, exchanging Body Slams and Psychics, but Jolteon's able to come out on top after a few turns with only 28 HP remaining, leading to Lance's 4th Pokemon in Dragonite. Of course, I've got Electabuzz chilling in the back with Ice Punch to take out this thing, so I figured I'd sack Jolteon by going for a Body Slam, doing around a 4th damage to it before going down and going into Electabuzz in order to pick up that KO. Next out is Snorlax, and yeah, this is going to change the 5-2 lead that I have big time. Electabuzz barely does any damage, though he is able to lower Snorlax's special with Psychic before going down to Earthquake, which will help with damage output, as Raichu is able to come in and nearly KO with Thunder before going down to an Earthquake just as well, leaving Electrode to pick up the Revenge KO and leaving just Aerodactyl in this 3-on-1 scenario. Of course though, because Electrode is an absolute speed demon, it outspeeds, nailing Aerodactyl with Thunderbolt, and yeah, it has no chance of survival. I don't even think the critical hit mattered, and if it did, again, Magneton and Voltorb were there as backup. Turns out that's just their purpose now, though it's pretty nice that I'm able to use just 4 main Pokemon and get away with it, since I legitimately haven't found much of a use for either Magneton or Voltorb. But hey, this is Gen 1 where monotype challenges aren't really conducive to the game design, since, well, only 151 Pokemon to choose from, and 146 if we're cutting the legendaries out that are only accessible in the Cerulean Cave in this hack. Anyway, enough babbling. Since you've gotten this far into the video, I have a reward for you. Recently, I commissioned a friend of mine by the name of Gunderslam to cover the Gold Zeo Ranger theme song from Power Rangers Zeo, which I'm sure if you've watched the Blue Eyes White Dragon Fire Red Leaf Green challenge video, you'll recognize from the morphing sequence that was used in that said video that the theme there, well, wasn't really on the internet until now. He just uploaded a really well-shot video of it over on his channel, and I'm tired of seeing him hover around the 600 subscriber mark. Go subscribe to him and get him over 1,000. He makes really dope covers of a ton of different video game music. Last thing, I'll be streaming over on Twitch straight after this video goes live, so you better head on over there after watching Gunderslam's video. Both links are in the description. So, Blue's a bit of a challenge here. While yes, we do have his Tauros to contend with, and it's fast, relatively bulky, and able to throw out a bunch of Earthquakes that are likely to take down at least 1 or 2 of my party members, Mew and Mewtwo are always likely to be the biggest things I have to contend with during this fight, no matter what type I'm using. The Jolteon mirror should be easy enough to win thanks to Sand Attack and the paralysis that Body Slam provides. Starmie's pretty much a gimme thanks to my team's speed and typing, leaving just Executor to be the last major threat on his team. I think I have a good layout of how I want to sequence my team here, but let's see if I can pull it off on the first try. He leads with Mew, so I went for Jolteon, shocking, going for Sand Attack to hold off Mew from attacking, since it also has Soft Boiled. Sure enough, after about 5 of them, I'm able to start wailing on him with Body Slam, finishing him off with Hyper Beam after about 5 turns, putting me up 6-5, but not a flawless 6-5 that I've been having as of recently. That's fine though, his second Pokemon is Jolteon, and the mirror match starts amazingly, seeing as my first Sand Attack lands as his misses, meaning I can land 4 more and 3-shot with 2 Body Slams and a Hyper Beam, taking no damage from Jolteon and leading to Executor. I don't have any more sand attacks since I didn't fully heal the power points on it, because I'm an idiot, so I just went for Body Slam, somehow getting lucky a few times as the first Body Slam gets paralysis, the second doesn't but he misses Stun Spore, the third gets a critical paralysis, allowing me to follow up with a critical Hyper Beam for the KO and lead into Starmie. Jolteon's faster than Starmie as well and one-shots it with a critical Thunderbolt, putting me ahead 6-2, not that I really needed the critical there, I'm sure I didn't, but honestly, hey, I don't care. I'm gonna need this advantage though, since Tauros is literally the Eater of Worlds here. He KOs both Jolteon and Voltorb with a single Earthquake each, with only the former landing a Thunderbolt before going down. I was sincerely hoping that Voltorb would be able to maybe outspeed and land an explosion, but that just wasn't the case. Raichu isn't even faster than Tauros by my calculations, so I just went for Quick Attack for that little bit of chip damage, going down to a single Earthquake just as well. So much for that 6-2 lead. It's blown and I'm down to 3 Pokemon to 2, but that's fine as Electrode does outspeed Tauros and KO with a critical Thunderbolt, leaving just Mewtwo. He's an idiot and decides to go for Recover at full HP as I land a Thunderbolt of my own, going for it next turn and realizing that we're at a speed tie as I go first this turn, taking a Psychic afterwards and barely surviving. Electrode's really not going to be able to do much else here, so I just prayed that I'd win the speed tie and land Explosion. And fortunately I do so, getting a critical hit and winning the match 2-0, once again with Magneton as backup. Sorry Magneton, you just weren't nearly bulky or fast enough to hit anything worthwhile in this entire challenge. I'm actually shocked at how well this went, after learning the team and taking their strengths and weaknesses into consideration, outside of just their types. It led to Agatha, Lance, and Blue all going down on my first try. I guess I'm learning something about extremely difficult, unfair Pokemon battles with this series, and hopefully I can continue to get some more insight when it comes to other types. Before you go though, leave a comment down below of what type you want to see next, whether that be Ice, Bug, Poison, Dragon, Fighting, Flying, Ground, or Rock. I want to hear what you guys want since I'm just going to say right now, all of these types are going to be super difficult. Maybe with the exception of the Flying type, but since I'm not allowed to use Moltres, Articuno, or Zapdos, unless it's impossible otherwise, I'm sure I'll be having a hard time there. Anyway, next time on the channel, I'm not sure what I'll be doing next, but I'm hoping to get another Professor Oak's challenge out by the end of the month. So I hope you guys look forward to that. See you guys next time. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, click the bell, tell a friend, and don't spend more than a minute doing that since if you are, you're taking too long. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this, and I'll see you guys next time with another challenge video. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.